Oh, hey guys. This is Eric Weingartner with Weingartner Racing. Been a bit of a busy week, doing what I do. But anyway, lots of updates. Thought I'd tell you about them. Tell you all the stuff that's been happening. I bet you kind of want to know about that Camshaft challenge because, yeah. But anyway, this week was a very busy week. And went to Ohio and got to hang out with Old Man, Bill from Old Man's Garage, and Bob McVeigh, also from Old Man's Garage, and got to Dyno as well. We tested a whole bunch of different carburetors, a lot of fun, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but that's going to be a whole separate video because I want Bill's video to come out first because, quite frankly, he does a better job of video than I do. And then, but I also picked up a new dyno mule that I want to show you, but you're probably here for, a little bit of this. And you want to hear about the Camshaft challenge. So let me go ahead and put this down. Go ahead and take these off real quick. Let's talk about that Camshaft challenge. So currently, let me just do this first. I didn't think I'd have as much interest as what I did because I'll tell you about all the entries that are in so far. But I'll say this, I did not expect that the amount of hate or criticism that came from this. Didn't expect it. I just thought they'd be quiet. So one of the things that I'm going to talk about is a lot of people said I thought that they were chicken if they didn't enter the Camshaft challenge. They need to go back and rewatch that video because I believe I said not that you would be chicken, because chicken would be you would be scared. So for instance, if someone asked you to jump out of an airplane and you're like, no, you're not going to do it, then you might be a little bit chicken because you're scared. No, I said you wouldn't have any balls. And if you don't have any balls, you're a... And if you're a... then you do what... do, and that is... That's right. So I had a lot of people just doing that. And the thing is, if you're not going to enter, that's cool, man. We all know you got excuses. Everybody's got excuses. Winners want to compete. Others just want to give excuses. So that's how life is. It's the truth in anything you do. Football, basketball, doesn't matter. Winners want to compete. Others don't. They want to give excuses. So, and I get it. There's excuses, a whole bunch of them. I can't, I don't have money, I don't have time, blah, 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 whatever. That's fine. But in that case, just don't say anything. That's always an option. So anyway, hopefully that got a little bit stirred up there for you. But I told you wasn't going to happen. Anyway, as it sits, so this is what you're really after. Currently, there are 7 camshafts that are here. And I can tell you the people who have entered, and I can tell you the people who have shown some interest. So as you know, and I'm expressing this specifically so you understand, initially I said 10 camshafts. That's all that I could afford to test. And that's still true right now as of this taping. Because I said I've only got enough money, because this is out of my own money. So people are like, you're doing it for views. I guess they're not paying. I don't think you quite understand. There are YouTube channels that make lots of money. Then there's my channel that makes not enough to cover even the dyno tests. So stop saying that stupid stuff. It's not even breaking even. But I said it initially. I only have enough money to pay for 2 days worth of dyno testing. In those 2 days, I'm going to get 10 camshafts done. I pray and hope. If not, I'll pay for just enough to get through the 10. I don't have money to go further, but I did say I would test as many camshafts that are there as long as other people pay for the dyno session. I'm already self-funding all of your testing. So what I've done is in the description, I put a link to my online store. So if you would like to contribute to more dyno testing, you could do that. So if you're like, I really want to see more people compete. I do too. I just don't have the financial means to keep doing more. So if you want to see more, do that. You can, I'm going to have them in $20 increments so that you can buy 5 of them, and that'd be $100 obviously. But anyway, if you want to donate, you can. So the more dyno time that's bought, the more cams that can be tested. Because when I said this initially, I said I want 10, but I really thought maybe 3 people would show up. I missed the mark completely on that one because some companies legitimately have balls. So let me give you an example of how many entries we have right now. Right now, as of this filming, There are 7 cams that are here. And this is the part that kind of upsets some of the people that do want to enter. Because I've told every single one of them, $100 gets you entered, and the camshaft has to be here. And I know some of you take longer to have the camshaft ground. It might take 2 weeks, it might take 3 weeks, it might take a month, but you've got till October, obviously. But it's not fair for me to be like, I've got your $100, I'm just gonna hold it till your camshaft sews up. Well, meanwhile, other people actually have cams that are here. So that's why, and I've told everybody that's tried to enter, it's $100 and your cam here. So when I mentioned the 7 names that I've got entered so far, their camshafts are here and they paid the $100. So, and I know other people have shown interest, totally get it, and I've expressed every one of them, and I hope you understand. I want you to compete. I truly do. If I had 20 camshafts and I could afford 20 dyno sessions, I will do it. I'll do my best that I can. I just, right now, especially this week, has been absolutely, not because I went to Ohio, horrible for the business. Horrible. Partly because of this project. But anyway, I just can't. I hope you understand that. So here are the 7 ones that have entered and paid their money so far. The first one that showed up was Summit Racing. Yes, they hit me up and said, we would like to send a camshaft. Now, I will say this, and I want to understand this would be fair to all the competitors. He said, I can't give whoever the sales guy is for Summit, I can't give $100, but what we can do is do a $100 gift card. I said yes. Now, I know that's like not exactly a word to the rules, but a $100 gift card is the same, okay, to me. So they're entered. Their camshaft was the first one to show up. So that's 1. Lycan's Sports was probably number 2, and I'm probably gonna get some of these in the wrong order, but you get the idea. So that's number 2 was Lycan's Motorsports. Number 3 was Cam Motion. Cam Motion has a camshaft that's here. 4 is a guy named Brian Taylor out of Canada, and I think he's got a business, and I can't remember off the top of my head. 5 is David Powell. Now, this one I do have to talk to him about. David Powell sent in 2 cams. That makes 6 cams that are here. And I've told, because other competitors want to enter more than 1 camshaft, said I would prefer if you didn't, to give more people a chance to enter. So I'm going to talk to David, and I hope he's reasonable on this, that I'm going to have him pick one of them, and that's the one I'll run. Now, if I get more dyno time, I'll run them both. I hope he's okay with that. If not, I guess I'll just pay for maybe another hour of dyno time, or I'll skip lunch or something. I don't know, something that gets it in there. Anyway, that's 6. The 7th one is a guy named Joe Carroll. And you're like, well, both of you are thinking, probably some of you are thinking, well, Brian Taylor and Joe Carroll, who are these people? It doesn't make any sense. They're not even real guys. That's not true at all. One, Joe Carroll competed in the Engine Master Challenge with me for several years. He almost always, well, I think actually always did better than I did. And we're like, well, you didn't do that well. Yeah, he was in the money several times. And he's not an engine builder shop, but he's smart, really smart. And I mean, if you think he got into the money and he didn't have an engine shop and just used testing and different knowledge to get that far up in those challenges, the guy's got it. So he's entered. Brian Taylor, he said he's got some kind of, it was on the paperwork, I just don't remember it as I'm filming this, but he's got some kind of shop in Canada, and he's entered as well. Speaking of which, Brian, your camshaft arrived, and the front part of the front journal is a little boogered up, so I'm gonna see if I can't get that polished so it doesn't give me any problems. Those are the camshafts that's entered, those people are officially entered right now, which really means there's 3 spots left. Unless, and I want you to understand this, unless other people pay for dyno time, then we can go farther. Or unless the business somehow miraculously decides to find a whole bunch of money. But like I said, you guys can contribute, and I highly encourage you to do that. And some people already have. So just to give you an idea, currently, other viewers and even other competitors have sent in other money to do more dyno time. And right now, as of this filming, that's $240 have been sent in just to use for more dyno time. So that's $760 short of another dyno day, which would be another 5 camshafts. But anyway, that's what's going on. Just to give you an idea on that. So that's the camshaft challenge. And I'll do one more thing. And this is to kind of get more people to pay or whatever. It seems like a shill, it's not, but I'm really just trying to get more people to be able to compete. I'm gonna make a deal for I think for $40, which I would put a deal on my link will be in the description for 40 bucks. What I'll do with for you guys is the day before the competition, I will text you all the cam cards. And then on the day of the competition, just like my channel members, which I highly encourage you to be a channel member, that's $150. But it's good for a year and you get all the dyno testing stuff gets sent to you. But for the 40, the day before the competition, I'll send you all the cam cards. On the day of the competition, I'm gonna text you results as we're doing them. So you can kind of see. That'll be cool, it'll be cool. Yes, it's 40 bucks, but hopefully I could pay for more dyno time doing that. So it's not like it's gonna be lining my pockets. I wish it would if I get enough people to do it, but I just don't see that. I don't have a big enough audience, that's what I'm trying to say. But otherwise, if you're like, oh, what about the rest of us who ain't got 40 bucks to do that? I'm telling you now, I'll put out the results only after all the cam testing is done. The winner's camshaft, I'm gonna go get cam doctored. After I've cam doctored it, because then I can say this guy's officially the winner. He didn't violate any of the rules. After that, then I will make a video or put out the results on my my Facebook page, Real Weingartner Racing. I'll put those results on there, and then I will also create the video so that you guys can see. I'll say about the camshaft cards now. I will not reveal any of them until the day before the competition, which I've already said before. But the guys that pay that money, you'll get those texted to you. I have looked at every one of the camshaft cards now, and I'll give you kind of a rundown. I'm not going to tell you any of their specs right now, but I'll tell you this. Of those camshaft cards, there are about 3 that are somewhat similar, There is one for sure that's the most different camshaft I have ever seen, ever. And I do mean that. I've never thought to do that. That one's different. By far, you're different. But the other ones are all different. They're all a little off. None of them, by the way, right now are even the same. Some are close, but for the vast majority, they're vastly different. So it will be a very, very interesting test. And if you're one of those guys that are getting mad, well, it's not even competitors. It's the people that are giving excuses why they're not entering. Well, you're not degreeing in the camshaft. I'm gonna go tell you why. Just to help you out for this. An average LS guy who's got his LS engine and his Camaro, his Corvette or not, they're not degreeing in their camshaft. They're simply doing dot to dot. And if you're trying to convince me otherwise, you're full of crap. Now, professionals that do build engines, absolutely, they always degree their camshaft in. Absolutely. But the majority of LS guys, especially the ones doing the vehicle, do not do that. I'm sorry to tell you and break your bubble, they do not. So they do the dot to dot, and that's exactly how I'm doing it. But that's not even the biggest reason why, because I wouldn't even mind degreeing in the camshafts. Except for, I imagine it's going to take me between 20 and 30 minutes to change a camshaft. If I was to degree the camshaft in, it would take about that amount of time. The other thing is, for those that have never degreed in a camshaft, the way I do it is typically when I put an engine together, if it's a hydraulic roller cam, I will put a solid lifter in there to use it to indicate. So I don't have to worry about plunger movement or maybe even a few thousandths, any of it. I will put a solid lifter in there so that I can get the exact measurements as it should be. I won't do it with the hydraulic. And the other thing is I don't do it with the head on because it's way easier to get my indicator to touch the lifter to get those measurements. With an LS, with the heads on and the whole capture part around the lifter, that would be a pain in the rear. So the time it would take to degree in each camshaft, the degree in the camshaft part will take longer than to actually install the camshaft. And then even then, what would you do if it's wrong? So let's say the camshaft wanted to be installed at 110 and it's 111. How am I going to change that? Because I'm running a chain. So for those that don't know about chains, usually you're limited to like 2 or 4 degrees alteration. So if it's 1 degree off, how in the world am I going to change that on a gear, on a cam deal with the timing chain? You can't. And I know the next thing is do a belt drive. I actually looked that up to see, 1, could I afford it? And 2, do they have ones that fit it? The belt drives do not work with the stock blocks because the oil pump is in the front. So your oil pump's all right there. So if you have a belt drive, that entire spot, you have to pretty much run a wet sump. Or a dry sump. I'm not doing that. So a belt drive, obviously you could change 1 degree. On a chain, you can't, unless, which Cloys may make it, where the top one where it's got the bolts they do for small block Chevy, where you can change it that amount. But even if you did, even if I could, again, the time it would take will be longer, which means instead of having at least 10 people compete, I will be lucky to have 4. And that's not what people want to see. Well, hey, you got all the cam timing and stuff right. No, you got 4 cams you got to see instead of at least 10. So I don't like that one. The other thing people said about the push rods, I actually checked. So I had 3 cams that are checked several of them. They're all the same. The heel to toe was the same. Your width on the side was the same. Now I say that, they're off maybe 15 to 20 thou. It's not enough to make a difference. I'm sorry, it's not. And all the competitors understand this going in, because it's not like I hid that from them. And also, for the stuff people say to come up with excuses, the push rod flex is going to be, that's just going to bounce around and that's what's going to cause your problems. I want you to go back and I want you to watch the small block Chevy Dyno Mule session when I compared thick push rods to thin push rods. That's a solid roller setup. That had 266 pounds on the seat, 605 open. The power difference was 0 from a 080 wall 5/16 to a 3/8 push rod diameter, 135 thick, with more spring pressure that's running on this hydraulic roller. The hydraulic roller has 175 on the seat and like 400 open. So if it showed 0 difference on the solid roller setup for deflection, if you think the push rod is going to deflect so much more on a hydraulic roller setup at 7,000 RPM, no. Now, before someone says, you're indicating that smaller push rods are better. No, I'm not. What I'm saying is at this RPM range, the difference is going to be negligible. And if someone says, well, if you got on a Spintron and you saw it, yes, it would. But we're measuring power, not what the Spintron says. The Spintron says how stable it is. I'm looking at the dyno charts. If they don't show any difference, the curve could have been, and by the way, people knock on the dyno, that dyno reads within 1 horsepower each time. Every time when we do it right. You get the oil temperature the same, you get the water temperature the same, 1 horsepower. That's it. You literally can have the inks riding over the top of the ink of the other dyno graph. So, I'm getting frustrated with this only because it's not even competitors that are saying this stuff. But they will spread that word as if it's gospel, when I have literal tests showing it made no difference. So, and the competitors are aware of this. So if it bothered you, which clearly they had an excuse why it did, then don't enter. But these guys got balls. Cammotion's got balls. Summit Racing has balls. All the ones I've mentioned so far have balls. There's other people that are already getting camshafts ground currently that have balls. They're not. You get it. I know it went a little long, but I had to take off my gloves, kind of do what I do. If you think the test's worthless, fine. Keep that underneath your bonnet. But a lot of people want to know what small difference in the camshaft did it make? Because what would happen, and by the way, because this is a good point too, what if you have 2 different camshafts with the exact same durations at 50 thousandths, the exact lobe lift, in other words, same valve lift, same LSA, but one makes 20 horsepower than the other. Why? Because then finally we can bring up the actual lobe design and how critical that is more than the 50 thousandths, your LSA, and your lift. Finally. But you get to see that. So people can think it's useless if you're not entering. But the amount of knowledge you're going to get from this, how, by the way, I think 1 or 2 of these cams might be self cams, by the way. You're going to see how they stack up with custom ones. I think, because I'm an information junkie, this stuff is valuable and a huge help to many of you. If you don't, just keep it underneath your bonnet. You don't watch it. Or watch and just, not say anything. That is always the option. But anyway, that does it with the camshaft stuff. Got a little long-winded, got a little frustrated. Watch each week. I won't have these random rants like this. I'll probably just keep telling you who's entered, and I'll tell you how much money I've got saved for the next dyno session, so we can see if we can actually do more cams. So, because like I said, I know for a fact, probably 4 or 5 others have cams that are ground, and they're being ground and they say they're going to ship within a certain amount of time. So I know I'm going to go over the 10, but it's the first 10 that's here. I know it. I can't see any other way to make it fair. So if you want to beat me up in the comments, go right ahead on that. Good. I would love to test everyone that shows up. and I'm doing my best to make that happen. But buy some of my cylinders, that would really help. Or buy some of the merch that's on my website, which is the books. Or just donate because you think it's cool. I don't know. But anyway, let me get off that because I want to show you the other stuff that happened this week. Small block Ford Dyno Mule. Let me show you it. Here we go. Here's the small block Ford Dyno Mule engine. So I picked this up from a guy named Bill Brennick. He works at, and I hope I'm getting this right, 501 Performance, which is Perfect Converters. They're the ones that do the converters for Old Man's Garage. They're really, I have never used their converters. I'm a Neil Chance guy. Neil Chance to treat me right. But I'm sure they do good converters as well. But he said, if it blows up, it blows up. But we're going to test this. And it's got an Eagle forged crankshaft. This is a stock block, but he had it converted to a 4-bolt main. As you can tell, the pistons have a bit of a dish, but with the 56cc chamber, it should yield us about the same compression ratio as the others. Right now, it has a hydraulic roller camshaft in it. I'll probably try some different solid roller out, obviously, later on. But I'm going to run solid roller lifters on this hydraulic roller cam. It's a nice piece, got ATI dampener. And this is a knockoff of a Jegs intake manifold right there. That's a knockoff of the Victor Jr. I'm probably going to try that and a whole bunch of different ones. I'm going to see if I can't get with ZSR. He's one of my best customers, and I poured a lot of intake manifolds for him. To see if I can't use some of his manifolds to do some testing, if you wouldn't mind, just to see which would turn out better, because then I could test the different Edelbrock ones, the Trick Flow ones, the BMP ones. I really like the BMP ones, by the way. As far as heads, that's the one part that I don't have for this yet, but I'm going to. It'll probably be like the ProMax ones to start off with, maybe, or something. Something like that. I just want to try to get this going. Don't get your hopes up that this is going to get going right away, because really there's not much to finish this up and we'd have it running. Very, very little. Obviously heads, push rods, rockers he sent with it. Just minor stuff, and really this could be running. The catch is, as you know from just the rant you heard for the last 20 minutes, the LS camshaft testing's got to be done. The small block Chevy still have to test the ported exhaust ports, what they do for that. That's got to be done. I feel like there's other stuff too. Oh, this is a random story too. Well, I had this, I'll wait for later, but I'll get to it. But there's another small block that might be getting dyno tested before that too. So chances are that actual time for this will be dyno testing. If things go, the best case scenario would be November. And if not, probably January, February, then, because we're really debating on weather and how good or bad the weather is. Obviously, if there's snow on the ground, I can't really drive to Dunsworth. I don't want to. But that's about where we're looking at for time for testing. He said if it blows up, it blows up. I'm gonna try, of course, not to, but I wanted to experiment with a whole bunch of different stuff, you know, different cylinder heads and everything like that. So much like the small block Chevy thing, if you want to see different stuff getting tested on this, and you've got, say, a different manifold you'd like to see get tested, you know, send it in. I'll test it. Whenever I get done testing, I can just send it back to you. That's what made the small block Chevy dyno test so successful. Even the big block one that we're doing now, even that 496 that we used at Old Man's Garage, that one, a lot of it from crowdsourced, from people just sending in stuff to test, and it was really nice. Well, actually, Nick provided a bunch too. But yeah, this would be a really cool project. So, because I know many of you are like, well, all you do is Chevy stuff. I like Ford. I like their cylinder heads for sure. So this would be a good test. And the goal for this is to put in the same camshaft that I ran in the small block Chevy Mule, and eventually the same camshaft will be in the LS, and the same camshaft will be in this. So we'll have a small block Ford, a small block Chevy, and a small block the LS, all about the same cubic inch, same camshaft, similar heads, and we'll see which engine family actually makes more power. And I look forward to doing that test. That's kind of it. And don't forget, we still have that to test. This is the Gen 3 Hemi that's been sitting here for, I don't know, a while, a minute for sure. I just have zero time at this point. So I have to tear it apart to make sure everything, find out what exactly might be wrong with this thing, which I don't think is something major. And then dyno test it. And I look forward to this project. This is definitely a next year project. I'll probably back off on the small block Chevy stuff and see if I can't get this and the Ford in there. Don't get me wrong, I still do Chevys as well, but just not as often. But that brings us to this. So weird things that happened this week is one of them would be this one. This intake manifold right here is a, let's see if I can find it, right there, 2971. Now this week I actually had someone claim that I sold them a wrong parts, and I didn't do anything about it, and it kind of frustrated me because the invoice said what the product was, and I gave them exactly what the product was. But this is an actual case of getting the wrong product. So the invoice said $29.70, because that's, in case you're wondering what's the difference. $29.70 is for one, this one right here is for a raised runner head. So it's got more material here at the flange to raise everything up. So the invoice said $29.70, the box said $29.70, the part was $29.71. That's getting the wrong part. Not when your invoice says something and you got exactly what it said on the invoice. But that was like a weird thing that showed up this week. Because I'm sure right now, this manifold right here, this $29.71, for a long time you could not get. And trust me, a lot of people wanted them, they weren't available. So I feel there's some poor guy that ordered a $29.71 that's got a $29.70 in the box. And they're like, man, I can't get it, it's on back order forever. Well, I'm sending this back to Summit and to get my refund on this because I have no use for this at the current time. But weird things that happen in the shop. Then there's this project. I feel so bad for this one. This one took forever to happen, and this customer was patient, and finally I had to refund his money and stuff. But the heads for that customer, they're actually here. They finally showed up. They showed up, of course, when I was gone to Ohio, but these are a set of Dragon Slayers. I'm gonna put my own CNC program on them because these are 4060. And yes, look for a sales pitch video, probably the next one I do, that talks about all the differences in my Dragon Slayers, because I truthfully need to sell some. But these ones, they have the copper seats, and I'm gonna send them off to get ported with my program. And I'll show them when they're all done, but I've got the titanium ballast for them. I mean, this is the model one that was used for it, and fantastic. When it's done, it's perfect. This one's a little bit different because I had to run two different guys CNC ported them. First guy didn't do a very good job. The second one did a perfect job. So when these got done, because I had to have them sand the core and stuff, these will be absolutely fantastic and beautiful. They flow over 350 on that bench. I mean, the level of flow is phenomenal. Actually, on that bench, it did 274 at 400 lift. For a 23-degree head, that's outstanding. But anyway, that's a really cool project that's underway as well. Now, let me go back to the camera view and switch, and I want to tell you just a little bit about the old man's garage and how cool it was and some of the stuff, just real quick. I'm going to do a later video that goes in more depth about the actual dyno testing that was done at Bob McVeigh's, which you guys know from Old Man's Garage. But I'll tell you the situation that happened. I asked Bill, that's the guy from Old Man's Garage, if I could come down and work with Bob and do some dyno testing, maybe just get to meet him. Because after all, I was going to Ohio to pick up that 408 short block that would use for dyno testing. And I figured, I'll just make a kind of a vacation of it. Because really, besides swim meets, which those really aren't vacations, it's great to go watch my son swim. It's not a vacation, but I really needed time away from this place, to be honest with you. So it was like, get to meet, some people that I really enjoy talking to, because I really do love their channel. I think Bill does a terrific job with it. And anyway, I just wanted to, meet him. I mean, I met him at PRI, but, just kind of, get away. And it was kind of nice. And I've been to Ohio before for the Engine Master Challenge, but I hadn't been in that part of Ohio for sure. And he said, sure. And he even offered for me to stay in his house, and that was really kind of him. And his wife, Vicky, so if you're wondering, you guys know, hopefully you know this, I don't sugarcoat anything. But his wife, Vicky, is probably one of the nicest people I've met. Super nice. Matter of fact, all of them are. So if you're looking at that video and you're thinking they're just fake as could be, you're incorrect. Now granted, I was only there for 2 days, but they are 100% nice people. Vicky's super kind, super great. She's awesome. And the dog, I think they call it Scrappy or whatever, Bill's dog, it's no joke. Because it's funny because Vicky's like, hey, don't shake his hand because the dog will try biting you. He's really protective. And so the first thing we do is she goes to the office and says, Bill, we got Eric here. And he comes out and he shakes my hand. She's like, I just told him not to do that. The dog didn't bite there though. But yeah, the dog is super protective. No joke. No joke. And if you think you're just going to love up on that dog and it's going to love you and you're incorrect. It's not like barking at you like it wants to kill you, but it's looking at you like if you move it all towards him, yeah, you're going to get messed up. So and I don't mean like, I'd probably make it sound worse than it is. It's probably a really lovable dog once you get after weeks of getting to know the dog, but you're simply not going to be that day thinking you're going to pet that dog. You're incorrect. But anyway, she was super sweet, and Bill was great, and he told us a whole bunch of stories about the different stuff, and he was really open on everything. Because he even helped me with some of the editing things, because I said, man, I wish I knew how you did that, because I don't get how to do half this stuff. And he was great and showed me all that stuff. 100% nice as could be. Now, you're gonna some of you may ask about Billy and Tommy, and I really didn't get a chance to talk to Tommy at all. Billy, I shook his hand and got to talk to him just for a little bit. And don't think that they're being snobby when I say that, because they weren't. And I do think this needs to be said because I don't think the camera captures it near as much as what it should. Billy and Tommy literally worked their behinds off on those cars. So just to give you an idea, I show up on Wednesday. Probably like 10:30 at night. Yeah, 10:30 at night. They're still working on the car, which I know some people work late, but they're still working on the car, paid out bar angles for the Falcon and whatnot. Okay? They're supposed to leave on Friday morning to go to Kentucky, I guess, to race. So they're working on it nonstop. So I don't really get a chance to talk to them. I didn't want to for sure interrupt them while they're trying to figure out how to get things better both on the S10 and the Falcon. And they got to load up also go to race. But what I'm trying to say is if you think they're just like Bill's out there showing them everything and they're just only working on a little bit and then they just magically happen and it's just luck that they even do good, you're so wrong. I've seen people dedicated to the race cars. I will say Tommy and Billy for sure are 100%. Because on Thursday, we went to Dyno at Bob's. So Bob's, in case you don't know, it's about 40 minutes away from where Bill's house is. When we got back, so we went out to eat with Bob. We'll talk about that in a minute. When we got back, this is 10:30 at night, and Vicky's like, did you guys go eat yet? Remember, it's 10:30 at night. And I have to say, this is the reason that I think Vicky's so kind, because no way in hell would my wife go for this. She's like, have you guys eaten yet? Because we haven't eaten at 10:30 at night. Ooh, my wife would be a dragon. On fire. So that ain't happening. But anyway, she goes out there and she's going to hang out with Tommy and Billy. Tommy and Billy and I walked in there. They're on the phone with their chassis guy at 10:30 at night, which, by the way, I don't remember who the chassis guy is, and I don't want to tell him wrong, which I hate to do it. But whoever the chassis guy is, to answer the phone at 10:30 at night, try to work with them on that stuff, I don't know who they're using, but points to you, whoever you are. But both of them are so dedicated to figuring out how to get this thing to work better. Tommy especially, it seemed like, really trying. Billy is too. I don't want to get that confused. So when they finally get off the phone, because I'm talking to Allison, by the way, because I finally got to meet her too. Great girl. Amazing. So talk to me. I was like, do you mind if I ask you a question? And she's like, sure. Awesome. Okay, and maybe I'm just fanboying it out. Those are good people. I know good people. Those are good people. So anyway, they got done off the phone with the chassis. Remember, 10:30 at night. And Vicky's like, do you guys want to go out to eat? We can go to Denny's. Because there ain't nothing open at 10:30 at night to eat. And they're like, no, we gotta do some testing the car. Doesn't look like we're getting any supper tonight. At 10:30 at night, they went to go test the car. Now, I laid up in the bed in the room or whatever later, and because they went out testing and whatnot. At 12:30, they went out to go test again. I know, because I could hear the cars. And you're like, big deal, people do that all the time. They were leaving at 8 o'clock the next morning. So if they're lucky, they're gonna be loading up maybe 1:30. If they're lucky, which chances are they're probably not. And they're gonna leave the next morning at 7 to go. So yeah, dedication. So if you're thinking they're just lucking into it, no, those guys really work. And they're just YouTube stars. They don't really do. Incorrect. Definitely putting in the time on the car, for sure. So the point I'm trying to get to that is, no, I didn't get a chance to talk to either one of them. They're legitimately working on their car. So props to them, for sure. And then, so anyway, let me talk about my next favorite guy that I got to meet, which was Bob McVeigh. So McVeigh's Machine Shop, which is where we dynoed. Bob, what you see on camera, that is Bob. Because I never thought I'd meet someone as geeked up on engine dynoing as I am. And I know I don't capture on the camera because, you know why I don't capture on camera? I'm too busy doing to record myself. Because if I could, you'd see like, man, this guy's like, this is his life. He lives for this. This is like he's in a candy store. And that's exactly how I feel every time I dyno. Now, don't get me wrong, I get frustrated when things aren't going right. Bob is the same way, which I hope Bill captured on the camera, because there was a time what we did a dyno pull with 110 octane gas, and then we put pump gas in it, and the results weren't at all what I expected. And Bob was just as excited to see the results as I was, and I never thought I'd find someone that way. Great. Amazing. And anyway, great person to deal with. Awesome. Amazing. The dyno was neat, and I'll talk more about that in a later video. But yeah, what you see is really what you get. And one more thing, this has nothing to do with Bob necessarily, but Bob took us to the restaurant and for lunch. Nick paid. So Nick's a great guy. So go visit his channel, DC Performance. He has a video out. He loves to get more views. But anyway, he paid for lunch. And I live in Oklahoma. So I'm from Oklahoma. One of the things they constantly keep saying about Oklahoma is, you know, the benefits of living here is cost of living so cheap. Bull. We go to this place, and there's a huge Amish community, but I don't think it was even an Amish community there. We have an Amish community in Shoto, Oklahoma, by the way. They have a buffet that's delicious. But anyway, we go to this restaurant for lunch, and this is a mushroom and Swiss burger, right? $6.50. The most expensive thing on the menu was like $12. Now, why do I say that? Because there is 0 places here in Broken Arrow where you can get that same mushroom and Swiss burger for $6.50. You're out your mind. You can't go to McDonald's and get a meal for $6.50. So cost of living is cheaper in Oklahoma. My foot. I know it's a random rant, but you get what you get with me too. But anyway, Bob, 100% great. That night we took him out to eat at Texas Roadhouse, which they end up actually paying. I never fight for trying to pay for the bill. Why? There's been too many times where I've been thoroughly embarrassed where I'm fighting for trying to pay the bill when the other person's fighting harder than I am. And then people look at us like we're strange because we're definitely causing a scene in a restaurant. Yeah, anyway, I got to meet Bob's wife. Oh, they're both wonderful. Wonderful people. Great woman, nice to talk to, wonderful. Bob's wonderful, wife's wonderful. Bill and his wife's wonderful. It's either if someone says there's bad people in Ohio, so far I ain't seen them. Yeah. There was this guy, just to give you an example, and I know I'm rambling. This guy, I think his name is Chris. He showed up just to watch the Dyno sessions. He just happened to get off work and just stopped by Bob's to watch. He didn't even know where he was going to be on there. He was there the whole day. Cool cat. And then Bob's other helper, which I can't remember his name, he's got a mustache. You might see him in some of the videos. Calm, cool, collected, also a cool cat. So, yeah. I was there 2 days in Ohio. I didn't meet one bad one. We even went and ate this one diner there, like by Buckeye Lake. Beautiful lake. In the diner, not a single bad person. No Karens. So, Bob did say, well, you get enough time around here, you're going to want to move here. Kinda do. Except for there's corn everywhere. And little did I know, I found this out. You ever heard of corn sweat? I haven't heard of corn sweat. It turns out that when corn dries out, it puts water into the air. So I kept thinking, how is it humid in Ohio? Because there's there's the Great Lakes are up there. If it's blowing off the Great Lakes, that'd be a north wind. So it's cooler. In Oklahoma, we get southern breeze from the Gulf of Mexico, so it's humid. So it's hot and you get humid water. So I kept thinking, how are they so humid there in Ohio? Corn sweats. As the corn evaporates, and we're talking there's corn everywhere. Acres and acres and acres of corn. As that corn evaporates, it puts gallons and gallons and gallons of water into the air. Had no idea. It's legit. It's humid. But anyway, that dyno test, in case you're wondering, what did you actually test? Carburetors. We brought the 496 dyno mules to have the trick flow heads on it, and we just tested carburetors. Now I'm going to do a later video on that because this video is already probably way long, and I probably lost majority of my viewers before you got to this point. Because Bill gave me some tips, and he's like, you need to keep changing views and stuff. But I'm not going to do that on this one because it's going to take too long anyway. But, because no one wants to hear a person randomly rant. I get it. But anyway, just put it on and you can drive while you're just listening to me because I don't do any action stuff besides the whole gimmick of stirring the pot. And I'm saying that because no one watches this far really. But I don't even know where I was going. Right into a ditch is what I did. But great people, good time, well worth it. We tested carburetors, that's what I was at. And the carburetor we tested was, because Nick had all these. Nick has a ton of carburetors. He had like a 750 Brawler, an 850 double pumper. By the way, the Brawler was a double pumper. We tested, because Bob had an ATM 1050 CFM 4150 carburetor. He had a brand new Dominator 1050 from ATM that we tested. I brought, because a customer or a viewer sent in this 1050 Dominator test. I tested that one. And then, you'll love this one. Nick had an 870 Street Avenger carburetor with a vacuum secondary. This time I videoed the vacuum secondaries. You're going to love that. And the dyno results. You're going to love that too. Anyway, did that. And it was just carburetor testing. And some of them, of course, took some jetting. So it took some time to get the air-fuel ratios close enough where we could see some differences. You know, to make sure everything was fine, same between the carburetors. But yeah, that's what we tested. That's a later video. I don't know when that'll be out. I'm gonna let Bill put out his first. Definitely want Bill's out first because he's better at this stuff. Let's just face it. He probably has people that watch all the way to the end often. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm no Superman, and I do not pour cast iron heads. And for the guys that put that on his Facebook post, and they were like, he's like, who's this guy? Because he captured a picture of me taking a carburetor out. And you guys are like, it's the guy that's no Superman and doesn't pour cast iron heads. Thank you guys. I like my viewers being funny. But anyway, you guys take care, and I will see you later.